Okay, next up is content strategy. So when we talk about content strategy, especially in the context of the pandemic, we really need to think about this from the perspective of what does it do, right? And when I think about social media, I always talk about the idea that social media should enhance IRL activities. And what that really means is that it should impact in real life activities. If the content you're posting on social media is doing nothing more than entertaining someone, and then that's where it ends, then you're failing social media. As a business, really as a human on the planet, is kind of my standard there, right? It's just chatter. It's useless as a business. That's you personally on Facebook, you personally on Twitter. You're doing fun stuff and entertaining people. Fine. If your business is to entertain people, you're a comedian. Great. But if your business is to sell products and services and get people to do something other than be entertained solely, then you need to do social media to enhance in real life activities. And so if what I'm doing on social media is not getting people to have better businesses through better marketing and management on the web and beyond, then I'm missing the boat. I'm missing the whole purpose. I'm mismanaging the mission of the company. So you have to do the same thing. You need to set that standard. When you post on social media, you need to think, yes, on social media, we need to use it to some extent to entertain, to persuade people to come to our websites, to come to our other owned properties and do more things. But the reality is that the content that is best really needs to enhance in real life activities. That person needs to come offline and go talk to their brother and say, hey, you know what, I learned this thing online and we should go do that. It should say, you know what, I should go use this information and do something offline that will make my life better. That's the kind of stuff that gets people really beholden to you because they recognize that they know you're a real live human being. You're not speaking to Google and to the bots and the algorithms that are trying to propagate your content. You're actually posting content that helps another human being. And if it helps another human being, then that human being is likely going to get it. And what I see most of the time is people trying to game the system, right? They're trying to do all the things just appear genuine. And the reality is that humans are very capable of seeing through that, right? So don't post stuff just to game the algorithm. Next up, understand that social media is a type of media, right? Social media, media being any type of media, right? Media is the plural for medium, but the reality is that we have text, we have photos, we have video, we have the idea of audio, and we have the idea of some kind of mixed media, and then we have the idea of interactive media, which could be calculators, forms, other kinds of tools, games. Those are all interactive media. Once someone else can engage with it, with others, that's social media, right? All we're doing is giving the conversation over to the public, right? So once we put it out there, other folks can comment on it, others can add to the media, those kinds of things. That's what makes it social. And so it is not itself marketing. Social media is not marketing. We can do social media marketing because it's a component of our overall marketing, right? Marketing includes pricing, product, placement, and promotions. Social media falls in the promotions category mostly, but not solely there. And so it is not marketing. It's a type or component of your overall marketing strategy. So if we think about social media as the only thing you're going to do in terms of marketing, that's also a failed strategy. Okay. Next up, social media is not a popularity contest. While you have a lot of people who are becoming basically famous for being famous, right? We have a lot of that going on online. You cannot whatsoever really focus on just becoming popular for its own sake. Okay. If you bring an audience from one place to another, you're just as popular as you were from that place to the other. You may find other folks. If you're starting from scratch and you don't have a social media following, which is what I always presume everybody kind of starts off with, and that really helps us establish where we are, don't think about it from a popularity perspective. Think about it from an influence perspective. The example I would give is if I start with 1,000 followers, and every time I tell my followers to buy from me, one person buys, okay? That's one form of influence, right? Basically 1/10 of a percentage influence. Now, say that I have 100 followers And every time I tell them to buy something from me, one person buys from me. Same one person, 1,000 followers versus 100 followers. Who would you rather be, the first, the former, or the latter, right? I know that I would want to be the latter, because it's much easier to run a group of 100 people where 50 of them do something every time I ask them to, than to run an audience of 1,000 or 10,000 or 1,000,000, and every time I ask them to do something, only some small percentage of them do it. If there's 50 people out of 10,000 who do what I want every time I ask, and I've got to answer posts and engage with 10,000 people all the time, for 50 people to do what I want every time versus 50 people to do it out of every 100, I'd rather engage with those 100 people and get 50 of them to do what I want every time. It's going to be a hell of a lot less headache. It's going to be much easier for me to manage that group, and long term, it's going to be easier for me to grow that group for those 50 people, because I can give more attention to the ones who are buying from me and slowly get rid of the detritus, right? Get rid of the chaff from the wheat, and find more people like those 50 people, because it's much more difficult to identify the 50 in 10,000 than it is to identify the 50 in the 100, and meter out what makes them engage versus what makes the 10,000 folks engage, and only those 50, right? So think about this from not a popularity contest, but an influence perspective.